Welcome back to I Love Gossip Channel. Today we begin with a story that has the internet on fire and Hollywood looking nervous. Another day, another Diddy headline, but this one isn't just noise. This one is shaking the industry in real time. 50 Cent just dropped his Diddy documentary, and from the moment it went live, people knew this wasn't going to be business as usual. Social media lit up instantly, clips started spreading, and the conversation shifted fast from curiosity to concern. What shocked people the most wasn't just the content, it was the reaction. Almost immediately, rumors started circulating that powerful celebrities were quietly pushing to slow it down or shut it down completely. And these aren't random internet personalities or outspoken critics.
That's why I don't be going to them puffy parties. They can hug you from the front and the back at the same time.
These are famous faces, respected names, people nobody expected to be nervous over a documentary. Meanwhile, 50 Cent looks completely locked in and unfazed. He's posting, reacting, joking, and moving like someone who knew this reaction was coming all along. This documentary isn't being described as surface-level drama either. People watching say it includes rare footage, serious interviews, and voices that claim they stayed silent for years because speaking up felt risky. According to viewers, the documentary focuses heavily on the period leading up to Diddy's legal situation becoming public. It shows moments behind the curtain, conversations about strategy, pressure, and control that paint a very uncomfortable picture. And this clearly wasn't rushed. Word is, 50 Cent spent nearly 2 years putting this together, which explains why it feels detailed, layered, and intentional. One move that stood out early was 50 choosing ABC News as a platform to speak about the documentary.
Did you get that footage of Diddy?
I figured most journalists would not disclose
Watch this and think that you really hate Sean Combs.
Why would they be thinking that?
Because of the things that you post on Instagram,
Yeah,
because
this,
of the...
Look at this, and this.
Fans quickly pointed out that ABC is one of the few stations accessible in restricted environments, which made people think this was a calculated decision. That detail alone made viewers feel like this documentary wasn't just about entertainment. It was about making sure the message reached everywhere. And once that idea took hold, the tension only grew. After the documentary gained traction, the tone reportedly shifted fast.
You've been working on Diddy Do It.
Right.
You've been saying for years that you feel you knew Diddy's character.
Right.
Online chatter claimed that certain celebrities started making calls, reaching out quietly, trying to soften the impact or slow the rollout. To be clear, there's no public proof of illegal activity here. But the rumors say influence and reputation protection were being used to keep certain names from being dragged into the spotlight. That's when 50 Cent started responding.
Now no one can save Diddy and the other celebs. Jay-Z, Beyonce, Oprah Winfrey, Kim Kardashian, all of them were Diddy's handlers. After watching the rest of the documentary, you'll understand everything.
Publicly, not with apologies or silence, but with humor, sarcasm, and posts that let everyone know he wasn't blind to what was happening. The first unexpected name to step into the conversation was Marlon Wayans, and that caught people off guard because nobody thought he'd involve himself in this situation. Marlon went on a popular radio show and criticized 50's approach. He said 50 was wrong for attacking someone who's already down and leaned heavily into karma, faith, and personal reflection. He said, honestly, it's between both of them and God. Only God can judge. And right now is Puff's time to sit there and have a conversation with God. Now that statement alone isn't outrageous. People are allowed to believe in redemption and personal growth. But what raised eyebrows was how emotional and defensive it sounded. Social media immediately started asking why this situation seemed to strike such a nerve. 50 Cent didn't let the comments slide. He jumped straight to Instagram, posting an edited image from White Chicks and turning the moment into public comedy. The caption read, "Did this fool trying to get at me? LOL, no AI, that's your vibe, boy. Keep my name out your mouth." That post made one thing clear. This situation wasn't going to stay respectful or quiet, and that moment marked a turning point. Because from there, fans realized this documentary wasn't just exposing stories, it was exposing relationships. And that leads directly into part 2, where missing names and loud silence start raising serious questions. After the Marlon Wayans moment, viewers started rewatching the documentary with fresh eyes. That's when one detail stood out immediately. A full multi-episode documentary about Diddy's life, career, influence, and controversies. And Jay-Z is almost completely absent. No big montages, no throwback clips, no major references. For anyone who knows hip-hop history, that absence feels impossible to ignore. Jay-Z and Diddy were in the same rooms for years. Business deals, industry parties, music events, their paths crossed constantly. So viewers started asking questions fast. How do you tell this story and leave out such a major connection? A viral TikTok summed it up when someone said, "Where is Jay-Z? Not a picture, not a mention. What kind of deal did 50 strike?" That clip spread everywhere, and once it did, speculation took over completely. Now let's be clear, these are theories, not confirmed facts. But when something feels missing, the internet fills in the gaps, whether it should or not. People began wondering if Jay-Z's influence was strong enough to keep his name out of the narrative entirely. Others wondered if legal reasons or behind-the-scenes agreements played a role. Then old Jaguar Wright interviews resurfaced. She's been vocal for years, and now people are replaying her words with new context. She once said, "He's the acceptable monster at this time. So who's next?" And suddenly, people started listening again. Her statements are opinions and allegations, not facts. But when the industry goes quiet, voices like hers get louder. Then Ja Rule entered the conversation, and tensions rose again. He started criticizing 50 Cent, framing the documentary as personal beef instead of a serious project. But fans weren't convinced. They felt like too many people were getting defensive all at once. Gene Deal, often described as Diddy's former bodyguard, also spoke publicly. He suggested that Ja Rule might have his own reasons for being uncomfortable with people digging deeper. Again, those are claims, not conclusions. But once names start overlapping, speculation grows fast. Despite the noise, the documentary kept gaining traction. People continued sharing clips, discussing moments, and reacting emotionally. View counts were being thrown around everywhere. Numbers like 21.8 million views in 6 days became a rallying cry for supporters. 50 even posted about the numbers himself, saying, 21.8 million views in 6 days. Boom. One comment joked, "Diddy's stranger than Stranger Things." And after watching, many people said that comparison felt uncomfortably accurate. From this point on, the documentary completely changes tone. What started as celebrity talk slowly turns into something heavier, something that feels like it goes beyond entertainment. The focus moves away from jokes and reactions and straight into long-discussed historical cases involving Tupac and Biggie. These are names, moments, and stories that shaped hip-hop forever, and seeing them brought back up instantly grabbed people's attention. The documentary presents allegations, recorded statements, and claims that have circulated for decades. To be clear, these are allegations discussed within a documentary, not court verdicts or final judgments. But even so, hearing them laid out again made people stop scrolling and start listening. Because once you reopen conversations like that, emotions run high and questions multiply. Viewers say the documentary includes recordings connected to past investigations. Voices that many thought would never resurface are suddenly being replayed, and that alone shifted the mood online. People began asking whether some stories were left unresolved on purpose, and whether public attention might push renewed interest into cases that never fully got closure. The documentary also includes accounts from former business partners and industry insiders. They speak about power, control, loyalty, and pressure in ways that feel uncomfortable but revealing. These aren't flashy moments either. They're calm, serious conversations that make viewers sit back and think. According to people watching, the picture being painted isn't about one incident. It's about a pattern of influence, how power works when money, fame, and fear mix together behind closed doors. And once those themes hit, the conversation online shifted again. This stopped feeling like gossip and started feeling like accountability talk. That's when Diddy's legal team responded strongly, not quietly, not casually, but directly. They accused the documentary of being unfair and misleading. They claimed footage was used without proper authorization and labeled the project a hit piece. That response alone told people the pressure was real, because when lawyers step in publicly, it means the stakes are high. 50 Cent and the documentary's director pushed back immediately. They denied those claims and said all footage was obtained legally and properly cleared. They made it clear they weren't backing down or rewriting anything. That only made the conversation louder. One detail that really shocked viewers was learning where some of the footage allegedly came from. According to what's being said, parts of the footage came from a videographer Diddy hired himself. People believe he wanted to document his own perspective during a tense period. The idea was that he could later show his side of the story. But instead, that footage allegedly ended up being used in the documentary. And that twist alone had people calling it ironic and unsettling. Viewers say those clips show concern about public image and media reaction. You can see the stress, the planning, and the worry about how things look on the outside. That contrast hit hard, because people felt like image control was taking priority over accountability. As those clips spread online, reactions poured in. Some people felt uncomfortable, others felt validated, and many felt angry. And through all of this, 50 Cent stayed consistent in his message. He kept saying this documentary wasn't about revenge or personal beef. He framed it as accountability, as shining light where silence had protected behavior for too long. He said more than once that silence allows harm to stay hidden, and that power shouldn't act like a shield from questions. That message resonated with a lot of viewers, especially people who've watched powerful figures avoid scrutiny for years. Then another twist added fuel to the fire. Gene Deal, often described as Diddy's former bodyguard, spoke again about his involvement, or lack of it. He claimed he was invited to participate in the documentary. According to him, he even spoke directly with 50 Cent for a long conversation. He says they talked about major moments, security details, and the overall atmosphere around Bad Boy Records back in the day, things he felt were important for context. But Gene says he eventually pulled out of the project, and the reason he gave raised even more eyebrows. He claimed he was told that 50 Cent doesn't fully control the final cut of the documentary, that he doesn't decide what stays in, what gets cut, or who gets paid. That statement sent shockwaves through the comment sections, because if true, it raises serious questions about who really controls the narrative. Is it Netflix? Is it legal teams? Is it unseen business interests? People immediately tied that back to the Jay-Z situation, because now viewers started asking if missing names were editorial decisions or power decisions. Once that thought took hold, the conversation shifted again. It became less about one documentary and more about how stories get shaped in the industry, who gets protected, who gets exposed, and who never gets mentioned at all. At this point, the documentary had clearly done more than entertain. It forced uncomfortable conversations across music, media, and Hollywood. Some celebrities chose to speak loudly. Others chose complete silence. And silence, in moments like this, feels loud. Fans notice who talks and who disappears. The harder people pushed against the documentary, the more attention it received. Every attempt to slow it down seemed to make people want to watch it more. Clips kept spreading, debates kept growing, and new viewers kept tuning in just to see what everyone was arguing about. What started as a documentary turned into a full-blown moment, a moment that exposed how fragile reputations can be when control slips. And no matter how this plays out legally or publicly, one thing is already clear. This story isn't going away quietly, because once people start questioning power, silence, and control, there's no going back. The conversation has already escaped the box. This is the I Love Gossip channel. If you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. and I'll see you in the next one.